You hold it together all day. You smile at your coworkers, you make small talk in the elevator, and then you walk through your front door and you fall apart. You snap at family members over nothing. You can't answer a simple question. And then comes the guilt, because these are the people you love the most. So why do they end up getting the worst version of you? Hey, I'm Dr. Regina, PhD, and this is Divergent Paths, the podcast where we talk about all the things late diagnosed neurodivergent folks experience and how to work with your brain instead of against it. If you want extra tools and support, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Nerd Notes. The link is in the show description. In this episode, Russ and I are talking about masking at home. You'd think being able to unmask at home would create a serious sense of relief. But often, unmasking at home comes with dysregulation and guilt.
Isn't this just like when you walk off stage and you're like exhausted because you've just had to put on this big show, and now all of a sudden you're just like, oh,
right?
Man, done. I need to. That's why they have couches in the
right. That's why the green room always has couches in it because you just need to collapse for a couple of minutes.
And it doesn't matter if they're comfortable or uncomfortable. You just need to sit down.
Right.
So is that what it's like when someone walks through the front door and they immediately like start snapping at people? It's exhaustion and it's all of those other things that are happening all day that now have put the pressure. So like what's going on in their brain when they walk through that front door?
Yeah, well, we talk about the fact that we have everybody has a limited amount of executive functioning. And when you are masking or you are in a work environment in particular, in this example at least, where you need to have a high level of masking of performance, it burns through your executive function. Like it just takes it away because you are expending so much of your brain's energy to maintain that mask. And then you get home and you're in your safe place and your nervous system finally has a minute to exhale. But, that exhale isn't always sunshine and roses. Sometimes it's snapping and, the people you love, the people you're closest with, see the most genuine version of you, but they also see the unregulated version of you too.
Right. So they're sort of getting now, well, I don't know. Are they getting the real you or are they getting now a unmasked mask? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like they're getting this like,
this is still
angry
not you.
person or this, and it's still not who you really are. So who are they getting?
Well, they're just getting the exhausted version of you, right? They're getting the actress or the actor who needs to collapse on the couch after the big scene. They're getting that person who needs time to regulate and where your nervous system is in a place where it can remove the barriers. Like there were probably, while you were masking at work, there were probably countless moments you wanted to snap at somebody. But if it's your boss or your boss's boss, you can't. So you're pushing that back. So you no longer have the capability to hold those responses back, and you're more likely to let them out. That's what happens when you feel safe.
By some of the stories you've told on here, that maybe it's not the walking in the front door, right? Maybe you walk in the front door and you do feel a little bit relieved or relaxed or like, okay, I'm done. But then you walk into the kitchen and you see there's a ton of dishes or there's some other trigger that happens and then all of a sudden, and it's a small trigger, but you like overreact maybe to that.
That's almost always what does it for me. If I'm going to be in a dysregulated moment and I'm going to snap, it's because some other outside thing I have realized. Come home with my daughter, and if I was, out doing something and I picked her up from school and we come home, and she's often dysregulated after she gets home from school because she's now in her safe place too. And she'll want to do something and I will not be ready for it. Like she'll want to set up this is what this week was. She wanted to set up this big art project in my kitchen that I had just cleaned up. From the last big art project that she did, she does help clean up, but it had been cleaned up. It had been put away. The kitchen was just finally, and I'm like, can't you just go like chill out in your room on your phone for a little bit and let me look at my like okay clean kitchen before you destroy it? It's destroyed now, by the way. It is,
Okay.
you know.
um, you actually bring up like kind of an interesting point there too. If you have two people walking in the front door
Right.
dysregulated, that's going to just elevate the situation and just create like this very difficult environment, I would assume.
Yeah, and everybody's doing this because you feel safe. Like everybody's, this is good. Like this is good, right? It's good that you feel this way. But yeah, it just compounds. And then I feel bad in those situations. Like I felt bad that I didn't want to just be the mom who could say, yeah, go ahead and pull it up and go crazy. But instead, I kind of snapped a little bit at her, and then I felt shame. And then I went and apologized to her later. Then see how today goes when I pick her up. Is this going to be the same? Are we going to go through the same cycle? And then the guilt and the shame and the feelings around
Right.
that becomes something else you have to regulate around.
Yeah, now you got the guilt aspect in there and the shame thing. So that seems like it's just making it you're digging a deeper hole. You're getting like
Yeah, it's compounding. It's definitely a compounding factor, right? Having that shame or that feeling bad. And if you don't have enough capacity to regulate your emotion and you snap, then you don't have enough capacity really to regulate the shame you're feeling. And if you're not careful and you don't acknowledge it, then that puts you in a spiral where this is just, oh, another thing I did wrong. And when you're late diagnosed, you've been feeling like you're doing things wrong your whole life. So it just becomes another thing you pile on your back of things I did wrong. And here I'm doing it again, even though I'm in my safe place with my people that I love and I'm treating them awful.
So does this get you to a point though? Because now you're in this like kind of guilt and shame and just rough place. Now you try to get to work the next day. The mask is a little bit harder to put on. The
Yeah.
blocking out of
It takes
things is a
more
little bit
executive functioning to put it back on. Yeah, absolutely.
right. So day
Yeah.
2 is now
Mm-hmm.
even more
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it just gets
Because
worse
you've
and worse
depleted
and
more of
worse.
your executive functioning, managing the emotions of being dysregulated when you got home.
Right. So
Yeah.
how to break that cycle? Like how do you what do you do? Like how do you I don't see an easy way to slip in
Mm-hmm.
at this particular time and just let's break it. Let's stop it
Well, I
here.
mean,
Because
you're not
where?
you're not going to stop it. Like hopefully what we can stop here. You're not going to stop being dysregulated at home because intimacy isn't always pretty. One of the things about living with your people is the fact that they're going to see the messier sides of you. Like that's just part and parcel of being intimate. What we can do is make the transitions maybe a little bit gentler, where we don't put as much social pressure on the person coming in the door. So I had to learn this with my daughter's dad when we were first together. And during the summer, then I would just teach online. I would be home all day teaching and writing. I was working on my dissertation at the time. And he would come in from work and I would just inundate him with, I would just talk at him for 5 minutes. And he had just come from work where he had been, he was in tech support. So he'd come home from, tech support and whatever. And he didn't have any decompression time because I was just like, because I hadn't talked to anybody all day long. And I was dying to talk to someone because I needed now that I know I'm an external processor, I needed the connection to get through what I needed to get through without realizing that he needed a softer landing. And that's what we had to kind of like work out. So, setting up systems that work with that understanding of what the transition needs to look like. Because all we're dealing with here is that transition time. So a lot of people I know will get home and they'll sit in their car for like 5 minutes and they'll either listen to music or they'll scroll on videos on their phone, whatever it is. Some people play a phone game, whatever, something that helps them regulate. They'll do that in their car before they get out to prepare themselves to get into that that space so they have that time to soften that transition. That's one way to do that. Another is to just recognize, like I started to do with daughter's dad, that he needed 20 to 30 minutes to come home and change his clothes and get into a home space. And I wouldn't launch into these big conversations with him. So these are like steps we can take to help make that transition a little easier.
Asking somebody, how was your day, the second they walk in their door?
Right. Yeah. Like if you go in with, hey, did you remember that you needed to do it? Did you get gas in the car? Did you do this? Hey, did you get the, whatever it is, whatever 100 questions you might ask, saving those and giving people a little space to transition is.
Well, looking at this on both sides of the door, though.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, on both sides of the door.
This condition could happen on either side of the door, right? You could be the person that's sitting there, you got home first, or you've been home and you've got all these things that are running in your mind and you're just waiting for this person to come in and like be able to ask them these questions because they've been building up. And this is going to check items off your to-do list, get items out of your mind. And so you're waiting for that. And this person on the other side, the outside of the door that's about to walk in, is not ready for that. So you've got the two just like hitting each other at the same time. So I can see that could be particularly difficult. So there could be a partner on either end of this. What do you say to that partner, that family member, that person that's in one of those two positions, being about to be hit with this, this what they might say is an attack? We'll just go there.
Well, hopefully they don't feel attacked, but they might, right? They might feel overwhelmed. They definitely feel overwhelmed, right? So I think what I would say to both parties on either side of the door is a lot of this comes down to being able to effectively communicate your needs and recognize after the fact. Like, so if we talk about the shame spiral of I snapped, I felt bad, I apologized, I masked again, and I snapped, and I felt bad, and I apologized. Like, if we talk about that, if somewhere in that spiral, you were to go to the person and say, hey, this happened, but when I'm in this state after doing this, after coming home from work or coming home from, wherever else, a lot of times for many of us, it's not even coming home to work, right? It's stepping out of the office, which is in your house. You don't have a good separation from it. Like, when I'm just coming out of this, I need a little time to putz around the garden or take the dog for a walk. I need, if you have cats, I need to hang with the cats and help, because those are all regulation strategies, right? So you just say, I need a regulation strategy or two before kind of launch into agendas or demands, etc. So I can move from one place to the next.
It feels very difficult because I guess there's a weird balance here between when you're walking in the door and feeling safe or comfortable or, doing some of the things that, I mean, you have some sort of agenda when you're going in there. So it's either like a regulated feeling, I guess. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to get to regulated. You're still dysregulated, right? Because if you're coming in from having masked, having been in a video meeting or having been at work and been in, an environment where you couldn't be your genuine self, you are dysregulated. And so your safe place is where it's okay to be dysregulated.
Right.
That's what it is, because the people there aren't going to leave you. You're not going to get fired,
right?
Because this is your safe space. So that's the thing, is like, this is the place to be dysregulated. Like, that is it.
Yeah.
My clients talk about this a lot with their kids, because a lot of people who are late diagnosed discover they're late diagnosed because the call was coming from inside the house, right? Their kids get diagnosed.
Right.
And then they're like, but I do all of that stuff. And then they're like, oh, wait, I do all of that stuff. And then recognize that they're diagnosed, right? So they're getting their diagnosis a lot of times about the times their kids are. You're supposed to, when you have kids that come out of school who have been masking at school, and they're dysregulated, you want your kids to be dysregulated with you, because it shows you that you are doing the work of making a safe home for them. Because dysregulation is dysregulation should be happening where you're safe, because that's where you should be allowed the space to work through it. But that's where the skills come in, right? So you have to have those skills, and you have to teach them to your kids too.
You just gave me a nugget of light bulb going off, so I appreciate that.
Fabulous.
I like that that being that dysregulated is actually could be a good thing.
It's a
shows the
sign of
comfort. I like
security,
that.
right? Well,
I like that.
it's a sign of secure attachment. Like if your kids are just misbehave with you, or are loud or problematic or whatnot, like not problematic, but
Yeah.
difficult. That's good. That's good, because that means they're not masking with you, right? You want them to fall apart in front of you.
Right.
And you want that for your partner too. Like, it is good that your partner and that your family members fall apart in front of you. It's good that you can fall apart in front of your partners, because if you're not doing that with your partners, then you're still masking with your partner, right? And then you're continuing to expend that executive functioning to mask to be the person that they need.
Okay.
And then you're just stuck in it all the time, and none of us want that, right?
Well, I gotta tell you that I'm really glad that you gave this bit of advice, because what I was writing down here was trying to figure out like what the way around this is, and it was a 10 by 10 shack in the woods by myself. I thought that was going to be
I was going to run away and live off grid.
I thought that was going to be the diagnosis or the prescription.
The solution.
Okay, but clearly you've got some better ideas than that.
Right.
So
no, that trust is imperative, right? It is what we should all be working for, to be able to have a space at home where we can be dysregulated. But it's also so that the people that you love in your life get to see more of the best of you too. So being able to have the space to be dysregulated, to go through, to process it, means that your connections with your people are going to be deeper and more meaningful and more significant. And this is something I work with my clients all the time. Like this is something, especially when you're late diagnosed and you have not had this experience through earlier times. Learning it as an adult is challenging, and that's what I help my clients with. And there's a link in the show notes for booking a clarity call with me. And right now I'm accepting clients for my deep dive package, which is a focused and intense coaching session to help you with one or two outcomes, to help you feel good about walking through your front door.